Good morning, this is Tara. We're just waiting another minute. Cindy's having a hard time getting in, so hang tight for just a second.
Hello.
Good morning, we can hear you.
Oh, wonderful. I apologize for these technical difficulties. So I am wanting to lead a conversation about cultural resilience in our communities. And so I have some questions if that would be helpful, but if someone has something that they'd like to say about cultural resilience, that is great to do that right now too.
And just so everyone knows, you're self-muted, so anytime you can unmute and jump into the conversation.
Okay, well, wonderful. I have some questions. I'll just read them and we can see which one would like to talk about. So one question is, what does cultural resilience mean to you? What are examples of cultural resilience that you see in your family and in your community? What are the most important lessons about cultural resilience that we want our children and youth to know? What do we need to enhance cultural resilience in our communities? And what strengths are showing up in your community during this time of crisis? So is there anything there that gets your interest that you'd like to talk about with cultural resilience? Okay, well, let's just go ahead and go on the first one. So what does cultural resilience mean to you? And you can unmute yourself, or if you'd like to write it in the chat, that's fine also.
Hello, this is Jesse.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Cindy. I guess for me, cultural resilience involves learning about different strategies, but also just about your own people and what made your people resilient in the past and how they showed that resiliency. For me, the importance really came from having a narrative that helped me counter the racism that is constantly at play in American culture, so that I had a way of telling myself, no matter what I heard, that my people are a proud people who had really taken a lot of steps to resist the onslaught of Westernization and adapt to it. And that narrative, you need to have a strong narrative in your head in order to be able to be resilient.
Jesse, I hope this is being recorded because that was beautiful. That was really beautiful. Thank you for saying that. And that there's a lesson here too. Would anyone else like to comment on this too? What does cultural resilience mean to you? Or on what Jesse said? So
that was very well said, Jesse. Thank you for sharing that.
yes, I agree. So from what you said, Jesse, what are the most important things? How do we enhance this in our communities, this narrative in our head? What are the lessons that we want our children and youth to know? I think it's beautiful how you stated it. So how do we help everyone to have that narrative in their head? What are the ways we bring that to our communities?
I think, you know, I listened yesterday to Jan's presentation on pulling together for wellness, and I think that's a really good place to sort of pull together the community narratives within each tribe for, you know, how that particular tribe managed to adapt stories from elders and also language. I mean, language, you know, the individual tribal languages are a really important factor here. So like for me, learning Olelo Hawaii, that's the Native Hawaiian culture or Native Hawaiian language, really, and I'm not fluent at all, but I learned enough, and I went to a high school where they required us to learn Olelo Hawaii, even just the rudimentary knowledge. And then over the years, having just tried to, you know, teach myself, learning from elders, that all also plays a key role in cultural resiliency. So I know some tribes are, you know, have a strong language program. Others are trying to build their language programs. That really needs to be part of every, you know, every get together, and really instilled in children you know, the importance of that language, because it's a tie to your culture, it's a tie to your spirituality. And then the stories. The stories are really important. Like in the Kingdom of Hawaii, just the ways in which our ancestors adapted. You know, they learned from the British, not just American legal history, but from the British legal history. And those are different legal histories. And I'm a lawyer, so this is why this is interesting to me. But it also is part of my narrative, because my ancestors in the Kingdom of Hawaii, we had judges, we had courts in the kingdom. We implemented private property, but we did it in a way that was not American. And that legacy lives on today. And so Hawaii, whenever people go to law school, they always learn there are two weird states in the country: Louisiana, because of the French legal system heritage, and Hawaii. And that is, you know, part of like that is the legacy of my ancestors. So I think every tribe has that, and it's just a matter of building on it and helping people learn about it.
Thank you, Jesse. I love that. And I really agree about language. Just if you can have just a few words, even hello, thank you, oh no, goodbye, see you again. I mean, it really helps. It makes you feel good and connected. I love that. So Nicole or Terry, do you have anything that you want to comment on? So we just have a few minutes left. And I'd really like to know what strengths are showing up in your community during this time of crisis. What are you seeing emerge that that shows or demonstrates our cultural resiliency? I know we always talk about how COVID is expressing, bringing out
there.
the, oh, go ahead.
This is Nicole. I am so sorry. I've been frantically trying to figure out how to unmute everywhere. I did want to add, if it's okay, and I think I can link it into what I've seen in COVID. One of the things that's been so good for me, and also one of the things that I've seen in tribal communities that I work with, is the return to food sovereignty and the practices of gathering and harvesting with the seasons for not just for food, but also for medicine. And that has been that's been a good healing and kind of a renewal for me. And I've also seen it in the communities. It's especially powerful when they can go on gathering trips with the elders and the youth, and the elders can tell the stories of what they remember. And I know that we live in a society now where it's so easy to just go to the store and get what you need. And sometimes youth are like, well, why would I go and, pick berries when I can just go get something at the store that I like better, like pizza pockets or something. But there's such a connection to nature and to those traditions and those ways that I think is healing for a lot of people. And to learn how these things were done, like the process of harvesting something and then drying it and working with it through into the winter, so that there's something to do in the winter months when maybe there's not active harvesting happening. That's been something that I've seen has really sparked that interest in the youth, and it helps people feel part of something bigger, and it helps connect them to that tradition. So thank you for giving me a minute.
Oh, well, that's beautiful, Nicole. It's beautiful. And I know just what you mean to it. It's wonderful. And the wild berries, even though they're more tart, they have so much more flavor to me than domestic berries. So there is a wonderful reason to go and harvest yourself, because it really tastes better. And I think they've proven that there's a lot more nutrients in them too.
Yeah, and it's just been really fun to watch, and it's been good for me to teach my family. But I also just love seeing the pictures of the local tribal communities taking their youth out for Indian tea and for Devil's Club. And so it's just been really good and fulfilling to see happen.
Yes, I agree. And I love you saying that, Indian tea. That's what we call it too. Good stuff. Well, our conversation room time is over. Are there any last comments anybody would like to make? I don't want to make you late for the next session. Well, thank you all so much.
Jesse agrees that about the wild berries, and I do too.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you all so much. These were some really profound and beautiful thoughts and examples that you have shared, and I think they're going to be really helpful to share with others, because they are, yeah, as I said, they were profound and beautiful. So thank you all very much. Ganesh Chish, my hands are up to you for all your thoughtfulness and thoughtfulness and desire to improve things in our communities.
Thank you so much, Cindy.
See you at the next session.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Cindy.